and her cat will be live at the moment about LoriCox's sentencing. This is sentencing for her trial held in Idaho for the murder of her children JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan, and for conspiracy to murder Tammy Daybell. And there are more trials coming up. So we've, of course, got Charles's trial, the murder for Charles Vallow, that will be held in Arizona. And there will be Brandon Boudreaux's attempted murder trial. So she's got a lot to come. Yeah, people are saying, throw away the key, lock her up, never have to hear from the witch again. I mean, we've had the hilarious video this afternoon of KJ and the Ray burning Lori's effigy. So that was pretty fantastic. But unfortunately, no, we can't, we can stop talking about her for a while. We can put her out of sight, out of mind. But no, that's not the last we have to hear of LoriCox, unfortunately. I'm doing this as a live just so that I don't have to then go and upload it, because I just haven't got time. God, my hair's a mess. I've put dry shampoo in it. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I just wanted to talk about Summer Shiftlet's stunt. This is a schemed stunt. This is a planned stunt. There is no two ways about it. Okay, so Summer Shiftlet was appointed or awarded Tylee's voice, Tylee's advocate, Tylee's person, for the sentencing of Lori Vallow. And this was a while back, because we know that Lori was found guilty and we just had to wait quite a long time for her sentencing. Summer Shiftlet had plenty of time to arrange to go to this very important event, and she didn't want to turn up because she couldn't say in her slimy, shifty Cox way what she wanted to say without getting lynched. She can't front up to everyone, so she's decided slimily she knows that she doesn't need to turn up and she can just call up a news channel. Sadly, it had to be Nate Eaton. Quite disappointing that he's just feeding these beasts and giving them the platform to perform their machinations. I mean, what can you expect, though? He probably thinks he's doing a good thing and he's being an all-rounder as a journalist, But it's basically playing into their shenanigans, playing into their hand. So Summer Shiftlet said, because I was unable to turn up to the sentencing. So, I submitted it, but I thought maybe I can read something here. Are we to believe that what she read out on Nate Eaton's show, I don't know if it was on Meet the Eatons or on East Idaho News, but we don't know if what she read out was what was submitted to court. She could very well have been pleading for leniency, even though she's saying, to Nate that, she did expect for and ask for life in prison without parole. I mean, maybe because, she wouldn't want Lori to get out because but what about Lori's tentacles from prison, right? So Summer's stunt. So she had a chat to Nate, and then she talked presumably, about with anything that comes forth from the Cox gullets. It's exclusionary, it's apologist, it's spin, okay? It's spin. So yeah, she wasn't able to be there, but I wanted to read it myself. She's saying, I want to read it myself, so can I read it on your show, Nate? As if she hadn't planned to launch it like this all along. It is so passive aggressive. It's so underhanded. It's so disrespectful to Tylee. There are some very disrespectful things that she said that, you know, she's clearly just rooting for Lori still. And, you know my position about the Coxes. They're all sick. You know, we should be thanking the Coxes. We should be thanking Grunkle Rex and Bro Adam. We should be thanking Janice and Barry and Summer Shiftlet. We should be thanking them all, because what they've shown us is when we see sickness in society, when we see cruelty, when we see, you know, abuse, violence, when we see plotting, scheming, it's just shown us, oh, now cast further, look further. Who's in that person's periphery? Who's in their group? And investigate further than that person. So I think that she's plotted this so that she's able to have some sort of control, which, you know, goes to say that she's just as controlling as Lori. And it's just a cheap stunt. It's a cheap stunt, just like Grunkle Rex and Adam Cox's, Tylee and JJ's Silver Linings playlist. I mean, they're trying to talk about making, what, a silk purse out of a sow's ear. They are the sow's ear, okay? And it's not for them to try and make the silver lining out of it. You know, they just need to apologize, not be apologists. Summer Shiftlet brought up that, you know, oh, well, I'll get to it. So beautiful Tylee, she says, born September 24th, 2002. It was the day after Summer's birthday on the 23rd. Tiny baby, 5 pounds, fierce blue eyes, and hair that eventually turned to soft golden brown. I mean, this is eventually because she says that, you know, and Tylee, everything she says that's to do with Tylee and Lori and everything, it's an answer to allegations that have already been made. We already know that Annie was taken aback to see that Lori believed the toddler. But, you know, Summer tells the story that Tylee just didn't want to be far from Lori. Lori was her favorite person in the whole world, and just loved her so much, just wanted to be up like a big person in Lori's chair getting her hair done. Yeah, that's how it went. Little baby loves sitting down for a couple of hours just under chemicals and being poked and prodded. Not. Maybe just a play, pretend hairdressing game. Maybe put some pretty pink bows in, but sit there and get your hair bleached as a toddler? No. But anyway, Summer, spin, spin, spin. She talks about Tylee meeting early milestones, talking about Tylee being the little mermaid, that she was a real water baby. She loved the water, so did Colby, and that her and Colby would start swimming really early in the season when the adults wouldn't even dream of going in. They just loved the water, and Tylee taught Jay to swim. She talks of her as being clever, witty, hilarious, and how she did adore Colby, and how Colby adored her. You know, and then, yeah, the spin of Tylee loved to get into her mother's chair and get her hair done like a big girl. She wrote and then read about all her hardships were her father's abuse of her and the 7 episodes of pancreatitis. Well, unlike Colby, Tylee would never state that she had been abused by Joe Ryan. Each time she was in hospital for pancreatitis, she was in there for about 10 days. And Lori advocated for her to get her out as early as possible. And we were all there every single time. But Lori did the most. I mean, Lori was her mother. I mean, what? You mean just Lori parented? Did what every parent is expected to do? Be there for a child that's in hospital? I mean, what is special about that? Nothing. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are unsure if it wasn't Munchausen by proxy. Sorry, I can barely talk today, as you might have guessed. I'm not feeling very well today, and I can never get a flow. And I just didn't want to re-record this because I'd probably end up trying to record it and get a good video out of it. And now I'm just giving you a poor live video instead of doing that. But I'm not treating this like a live. I'm just trying to get this out of my head. I'm so furious. I'm so sickened. So sickened. So, you know, the letter was stating some really nice things. I mean, fairly generic things about Tylee, getting in the digs here and there about Tylee and her sharp, sarcastic side that came out when she was about 16. Every teenager is sarcastic. Someone has been murdered by your sister, Summer. You know, so there were lies. She shows herself to be an enabler. She's just a simp. She talked about Tylee and how she loved schoolwork, even though sometimes she couldn't go a lot and had to be homeschooled, I think, eventually. But, you know, she did well with the science project. She was beautiful at singing, which I can believe and understand. I mean, Summer Shiftlet and LoriCox, they have lovely singing voices. She talks about Tylee being a good dancer, a performer. They loved watching shows that she would put on. Tylee loved to do makeup, different hairstyles. She was very artistic and enjoyed calligraphy and was a very good photographer. And Summer says that the family treasures some of the photos that Tylee took of JJ. She says that the best ones that they had of JJ. She says that she was funny and kind, but bitingly sarcastic, getting worse at 16. Her first job was in the chiropractic office of Summer's husband, or maybe then husband. I mean, there's rumors of Summer's affairs and everything like that, of course. And, you know, how Tylee was quite proud to be wearing her scrubs. I imagine Tylee would have looked cute as a button in scrubs. Isn't that interesting? Because was this the same job that she couldn't get time off for to go to Colby's wedding? So that she wouldn't be any wedding photos. I mean, LoriCox, Daybell, insists that her daughter Tylee was there at Colby's wedding and that she just missed the photos. You know, she couldn't quite get there because she had to work. I mean, a 16-year-old not being able to get out of work commitments. What was she doing that was just so necessary that she couldn't go to her brother's wedding? And this is a wedding in the family, and she works for family. Was Summer Shiftlet there? I mean, this family is gaslighting everybody. They gaslit Tylee. They were cruel to her. She is the one that was pushed aside, that was alienated. You think it's Adam Cox? What a joke. Where is he living now? Where did he move to? To be near whom? I mean, that's just so pathetic. They're just so transparent. She talks about Tylee being a devoted Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, a devotee of the church. She enjoyed showing Summer's daughter into the temple on the daughter's first visit. She was very close to Summer's oldest son, and her younger son was the, you know, is Tylee's namesake, and she says that, you know, when her son was born, maybe the son's name's Riley, that, you know, Tylee's beautiful blue eyes just filled with tears, and it was just adorable. And she cried and just said that Riley was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. I mean, it's just, oh, so sad. So she mentions again how Tylee was fluent in sarcasm. Yeah, I can imagine the sarcasm flying thick and fast toward the Cox family. She says Tylee was sensitive, thoughtful, and humble, generous and tough. Her favorite color was bright blue, and Tylee called it the color of Hawaii. She might have wanted to live there as a grown-up summer if she got the chance. And she loved music, and she loved her friends. But mostly she was loved and protected by her mother. Most of her life, she was loved and protected the most by her mother. And it's only because of the severe mental illness. It's the severe mental illness that was stronger than a mother's love. Well, fuck you, Summer Shiftlet. We are not going to start stigmatizing mental illness and putting the blame at the metaphorical feet of mental illness for your sister being a serial killer. You're trying to say that it started when she met Chad, but after Lori met chaddaybell, Tylee and Jay were served up on a platter like a lamb to the slaughter. I could spit. You know, she's a joke. So the mental illness? No, we're talking about personality disorders, and we are talking about personality disorders that encompass a rather large hunk of narcissism, and it's this narcissism that is not allowing Lori to feel the pain and feel the responsibility for what she's done. So she's dissociating from what she's done. She's living in this fantasy world. She is very aware of the truth, but she's just concocting this fantasy world and shoving it down everybody's throat. If it's only because of severe mental illness that sprung chaddaybell, how do you explain what she did to Joe Ryan? How do you explain, Summer Shiftlet, what she did to her own children, Colby and Tylee, regarding their father, Joe Ryan? Now, you mentioned in this video you just made with Nate Eden, that Joe Ryan, you accused Joe Ryan of giving Tylee herpes and abusing her, and that was the source of all of Tylee's, that was the source of any hardship that Tylee ever had. Well, is that proven? Is that proven? If she did, was it herpes in the genitals? And if it was, where were they? Because were they from your family? If we want to be really real here, really cruel, really walking a fine line, walking a dangerous line, we could say that Colby's memories, that may or may not be planted, may or may not be real, seem to arise at the time when Lori was pregnant with Tylee. I mean, you have to wonder, because we know that your family is quite unusual. I mean, we have to thank you really for showing us that there are people that live on a different plane and in a different, they just operate differently, and we need to look out for these people. Where there's one, we need to look out for the group that is just part of their organism. Okay, it's just this big organism. You're rich, Summer Shiftlet, and it's things don't come out of the blue. They don't spontaneously appear. There's a cause for things. How do we know that Jay did not abuse A and that L wasn't abusing C at a time when he was very vulnerable. And who knows? It's all just so sick. And it's a very touchy subject, but there is a subculture, and it's shown in statistics that abuse from mother to son is prevalent in one particular culture. And I'm not going to say it out loud, but I've basically just given you a clue. When parents have genital herpes or herpes, any sort of virus like that, did you know that in vaginal births, that is when babies receive the virus, or it can be through the bloodstream, and babies are born carrying the virus? Did you know that, Summer Shiftlet? It doesn't mean, and people pass babies around to be kissed by relatives and friends. That's ridiculous. That's often how viruses are passed as well. People don't realize this. They need to be more aware. But you just basically, when you're saying things like when chaddaybell came along in 2017, that's when everything changed. That's a flat out lie. It's just apologist bullshit. You're supposed to be talking about Tylee, and you're making excuses for your serial killer sister. And you are throwing around dirt on a dead man that your sister possibly murdered. You are a coward and a sneak. You purposefully did not turn up. You knew all along you weren't going to. You knew you could ring up Nate Eaton, and you didn't even have to do that in advance to make it seem maybe to him that it was a bit more spontaneous. But you would have plotted this for the last how long? Since judgment and sentencing? Has it been 6 weeks or something like that? You've had enough time to travel to the court. So many others did. You just didn't want to front up because maybe hey, you could have turned up because enough people believe your jailhouse phone call stunt. So you could have ridden along the coattails of that. But no, you knew what you wanted to say. You knew you wanted to get those digs in, those excuses in, that bullshit in, those lies in. You and your family are scum, Summer Shiftlet. You really are. You are just so low. You are just so other. You are a different race of human. You're a different breed. And, we really should be thankful to this whole palaver. If anything has come out of this, it is to be aware of culture, subcultures in the human race, subculture that is spread through systems of, generations, spread through families and in clusters, and you don't think you think a different way. You have a different morality. You don't put the value on human life in the same way that most other humans do. Human beings, we're born and we need to be nurtured. We need to be taught empathy. We need to be raised with, spiritual guidance. We need to be educated. We need to be loved and shown love. We need to learn how to be kind, to share, all these things, right? Now, what's being taught in your family unit? What's been taught? And, what's come from both the Connors and the Coxes? It's because it's pretty powerful, isn't it? And Lori just didn't spring up out of nowhere. She just didn't develop a mental illness that is stigmatizing people with real mental illness. And mental illness can sometimes be It can be alleviated, it can be cured, but personality disorders and immorality and everything, I mean, they're in. I just dropped out for a minute, maybe. That's your sister Lori, Summer. And your family aren't showing that you're any different because you're exhibiting all the same traits. And there's no, you're not the victims. Stop playing the victims. You could have fronted up and just talked for Tylee, advocated for Tylee, said the nice things about Tylee, whatever is sincere in your speech, that she was someone who loved to be around her cousins. I mean, probably because she got to be around other children and be free and open and not have to be around her mother and be a reflection of what her mother wanted and be manipulated and controlled. You could have spoken about those things and about her skills and talents and who she could have been in life. And you could have also have apologized for the way that you put her in Siberia for the last years of her life. You could have apologized for not making sure she was okay. You could have apologized when you knew she was going to be put in a very dangerous situation, because you did know what was going to happen to Charles, and so did Adam, and he's a fucking liar. You could have gone there and said you were so sorry about what happened and that it was so horrific what happened to her and how she was treated, and that you were so sorry that the last thing on this mortal earth that Tylee had to see was probably the deranged, hateful face of LoriCox.